Philippines Constitution. We'll discuss about the preamble. So what is preamble? Preamble is a brief constitutional history or preamble to the present 1992 Constitution. It consists of 12 parts or articles and is framed in the style of treaty. The preamble was written by President Ferdinand Marcos, who was also the principal author of the Constitution itself. The preamble is divided into two parts. Part 1 states that this preamble has been drafted based on the Constitution of the Philippines and other laws which provides for its form, structure, and procedure, while Part 2 states that this preamble will be declared by Congress as part of the Constitution itself. The preamble of the Philippine Constitution is a set of provisions that precede its articles. It's a set for the historical reason for the existence and validity of its legal provisions. The preamble also serves as a guide to interpretation of the Constitution provisions. The preamble defines what is not covered by the Constitution and what shall be interpreted in light of our national aspiration, an aspiration expressed in our local laws, customs, traditions, rights, and privileges. According to Dan Vicente in 1958, the preamble performs a vital function in the Constitution. Its value is not merely formal but real and substantive. It is the Constitution what the enacting clause is to a statute. Without this or something equivalent to it, the source of authority that gives valid force to be constitutional mandates may lie concealed, perhaps left to the dangers of uncertain conjectures.
Preamble. We, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of Almighty God, in order to build a just and human society, and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspiration, promote the common good, conserve and develop our patrimony, and secure to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of independence and democracy under the rule of law and a regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace, do ordain and promulgate this Constitution.
The Bill of Rights is a declaration and enumeration of a person's rights and privileges, which the Constitution is designed to protect against violation by the government. It is a charter of liberties for the individual and a limitation upon the power of the state. To simply put, there are three general classifications of right: the natural right, the constitutional rights, and the statutory rights. The natural rights are those possessed by every citizen of what we call free will, because you can do anything without the permission of the state or the government. On the other hand, constitutional rights are those that are conferred and protected by the Constitution, while the statutory rights are those that are provided by law, promulgated by the lawmaking body, and consequently may be abolished by the same body. We also have these political rights, which basically refer to the power to participate directly or indirectly in the establishment or administration of the government. Second is civil right, or the law which secures private individuals for the purpose of securing enjoyment of their means of happiness. Third is the social and economic rights, which are intended to be ensure the well-being and economic security of an individual. And last is rights of the accused, which are intended for the protection of a person accused of any crime. Thomas Jefferson once said, "All men were created equal and independent, that from equal creation they derive rights inherent and unalienable, among which is the right to the preservation of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." As such, these rights were preserved by the government by the virtue of Article 3, 1987 Constitution of Republic of the Philippines. Section 3. It is about privacy of communication. For example, a telephone conversation between two kidnappers were secretly recorded by police officers without court order is not acceptable. Section 4 stated the freedom of speech right of free press, freedom of assembly, the right of petition, but it has limitations like when the speech contains untruthful information and life-threatening, whether if it's verbal or written. Section 5 stated the freedom of religion.
Bill of Rights, Section 6, Right to Travel. The liberty of adobe and of changing the same within the limits prescribed by the law shall not be impaired except upon lawful order of the court. Neither shall the right to travel be impaired except in the interest of national security, public safety, or public health, as may be provided by the law. Sa seksyon na ito ay sinasabi lamang ang ating karapatan sa paglalakbay at paninirahan sa isang lugar nang walang sinuman ang nangingialam sa atin. Ngunit, may mga pagkakataon na sinususpende ang paglipat ng tahanan at unang-una sa ating listahan ay ang pagkakaroon ngayon ng pandemya. Bill of Rights, Section 7, Right to Access Information. The right of the people to information on matters of public concern shall be recognized. Access to official records and to documents and papers pertaining to official acts, transactions, or decision, as well to government research data used as basis for policy development, shall be afforded the citizen subject to such limitations as may be provided by the law. In this section, ang section na ito ay dapat kilalanin ang karapatan ng taong bayan at malaman ang tungkol sa mga bagay-bagay na may kinalaman dito. Ang kaalaman sa mga opisyal na record at ang dokumento at papeles tungkol sa opisyal na gawin, transaksyon or desisyon, gayon din sa mga datos na pananaliksik ng pamahalaan na pinagbabatayan ng patakaran sa pagpapaunlad ay dapat ibigay sa mamamayan sa ilalim ng mga batas. Bill of Rights, Section 8. The right of the people, including those employed in the public and private sectors, to form unions, associations, or societies for purposes not contrary to law shall be abridged. Sa section naman na ito, ipinapahayag na hindi dapat pigilan ang karapatan ng taong bayan kabilang ang mga naglilingkod sa publiko at pribadong sektor na magtatatag ng mga asosasyon, mga union or kapisanan ng mga layunin hindi tutulig sa or labanan sa batas. Bill of Rights, Section 9. Private property shall not be taken for public use without just compensation. Sinasabi lang sa section na ito na ang mga pribadong ari-arian ay hindi dapat basta-bastang kunin ukol sa gamit pambayan ng walang wastong kabayaran. Bill of Rights, Section 10. Ang ibig sabihin naman ng section na ito, hindi dapat magpatibay ng batas na nasisira sa mga kontrata. Dito sa Section 10, parang sinasabi lang na hindi mo pwedeng kontrahin ang mga batas para sirain ng isang usapan o isang kontrata. Bill of Rights, Section 11. Free access to the courts and judicial bodies and adequate legal assistance shall not be denied to any person by reason of poverty. Sa section na ito, ay sinasabing hindi dapat ipagkait na kahit sino man na malayang magdulog ng mga kahukuman.
The Bill of Rights, Section 12, explains why we have the Miranda Doctrine. The Miranda Doctrine provides the accused his awareness of his rights to remain silent and to the rights to an attorney, and if he cannot afford, he must be provided with one. This section also states that the accused must not be investigated against his free will, and the information obtained by violation should be inadmissible in the court. And if one of these laws are violated, the law must provide a penal and civil sanctions, compensation, and rehabilitation to the victims and their families. The next one is Section 13. It gives the accused the right to bail himself out given that his offense is not punishable by reclusion perpetua. He has the rights to bail himself out even if his trial is still ongoing. The next one is Section 14. It talks about the rights of the accused. He has the right to a speedy trial, he has the right to meet the witnesses face to face, and he has the rights to know why he is being accused. However, his absence during trial, given that he is notified, is unjustifiable. In English, Latin phrase habeas corpus means that you have the body. When the Supreme Court, which has the jurisdiction over habeas corpus petitions, issues the writ, it commands an individual or government official that has restrained another individual to produce the prisoner at a designated time and place so that the court can determine whether the prisoner's custody is legal or not. And if it isn't, the prisoner must be released. In other words, the writ is a safeguard against warrantless arrest and illegal detention. The next section, which is the section 16, ensures that the prompt and speedy trial on all types of legal actions and cases. This section provides us a speedy judgment and a speedy trial.
Section 17 is known as the right against self-incrimination. What is being protected here is called testimonial self-incrimination only. This means getting evidence or testimony from the accused's own lips or from their handwritten. Section 18, known as involuntary servitude, a compulsory service of one to another. Section 19, heinous crime, offenses that are exceedingly bad or evil, or those committed with extreme cruelty as to shock the general moral senses, such as rape, parricide, murder, robbery with homicide. The Section 20. No person shall be imprisoned for debt or non-payment of a poll tax. Section 21. Meaning of double jeopardy. When person is charged with an offense and case is terminated by acquittal or conviction, he will be charged again with the same offense. Purpose of the right against double jeopardy protections against the perils of the second punishment as well as a second trial for the same offense. Section 22, ex post facto law, one which operating retrospectively deprives the accused of some protection or defense previously available. To their disadvantage, Bill of Attainder inflicts punishment without judicial trial, those are violation of due process of law.
Drug education can help us students to understand why young people need drug prevention. Also, substance abuse is the most worrisome phenomenon, especially when there are many alcoholic people in the community. In this discussion, you will know that the youth itself is one of the material that can stop this problem, since they are the one who know their own needs better than anyone. To empower the concern of the young people who wants to do something about drug abuse, we need to know about risk factors, protective factors, basic preventions, and many others, all of which will be discussed now.
Being man or a woman. 6 refers to the biological and physiological characteristics that define human as female or male. These sets of biological characteristics are not mutually exclusive, as there are individuals with possess both, but these characteristics tends to differentiate human as female or mates. For example, your gender identity is the gender you identity as. Often, one identities as either woman or man, or girl or boy. For most of these matches, the sex they were assigned at birth. People who identify with the sex they were assigned at birth are often called cisgender. Being young is in itself a risk factor. Some children and young people have certain issues or vulnerabilities that increase their level of risk and burden of mental illness. These issues include sexuality and gender, substance use, homelessness, involvement in child protection, or youth justice, disability of history of trauma. For example, some of the primary factors placing young people at risk include poverty, juvenile delinquency, dropping out of school, teen pregnancy, abuse or trauma, and mental health issues. Parents and adults can help young people in this situation by focusing on communication, collaboration, and seeking professional help. Undeveloped or underdeveloped personal skills. Struggling with social skills is different from not being social. People want to interact, but when they do it doesn't go well. They might struggle to make conversation, seem out of sync, or behave in a way that turns other people may have trouble picking up on social cues and following social rules, and so do others. It could occur because of a lack of knowledge, such as the inability to acquire new skills, or because of a competency deficit. Sometimes the person may know how to perform the social skill, but they may struggle to perform because of limited practice or inadequate feedback.
Environmental risk factor. So, what is environmental risk factor of drugs? A person's environment can include many settings, including home, work, school, neighborhoods, recreation areas, and social events. If your environment is one in which drugs or alcohol are available and widely accepted, it can have a strong effect on your potential for abuse and addiction. So, why do teens use drugs? We have here lack of education, poverty, peer pressure, and lack of parental guidance. Drug addicts generally look for easy ways out of to satisfy their cravings for drugs, and this leads them into various types of crimes, including theft, robbery, burglary, and murder. The main reason why people who are addicted to drugs commit crimes is because they cannot control their cravings for the drug. This makes them feel like killing someone or stealing something from someone who has something that they want themselves, where in fact they are only breaking the law by stealing from someone else. How to prevent environmental risk factor for drug use? The first step to preventing drug use is to focus on the problem. The most important thing you can do is educate yourself about drugs, their effects, and potential dangers. The more you know, the more likely you are to make safe choices. It's important to understand that drug use isn't a choice, it's a disorder that can cause harm to those around them. Drug use can lead to depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues. It can also lead to heart disease and other physical health problems.
Hi everyone, my name is Sheldon KB Portrias and my topic is protective factors, rules of the youth in drug prevention and detection. Protective factors. Protective factors for addiction are variables that enable a person to avoid drug abuse or drug using situations. These protective factors, in turn, reduce the risk of drug addiction and increase a person's likelihood to thrive in various aspects of their lives, both in the present and the future. Personal factors. Personal factors will develop personal skills to deal with difficult situations, such as an ability to analyze situations, to take quick decisions, to communicate with others, to relax, to negotiate, and enter into compromises and etc. What do you mean by personal factors. Personal factors daw is mo ni ang mga skills na ginagamit nato every day when we communicate and interact with other people, both individually and in groups. They include wide range of skills, but particularly in communication skills such as listening and effective speaking. They also include the ability to control and manage your emotions. Environmental protective factors. Good, number one, good personal connections to people, including family members and friends that encourage caring, sharing, and bonding. The key points for this is children feel secure and loved when they have strong and positive family relationships. Positive relationships, positive family relationships help families resolve conflict, work as a team, and enjoy each other's company. Positive family member relationships built on quality time, communication, teamwork, and appreciation of each other. Number two, adequate resources to meet physical and emotional needs of the person. What do you mean by this? Is the ability to improve the functioning of one's body through healthy eating and good exercises, habits of social well-being. Number three, cultural norms that discourage substance abuse. What do you mean by these cultural norms that discourage substance abuse? A drug culture has its own history of pertaining to drug use that is usually orally transmitted. It has certain shared values, beliefs, customs, and traditions, and it has its own rituals and behaviors that evolve over time.
Basic prevention principles are strategies based on scientific evidence which ensures that children, especially the youth, grow into a safety and healthy adulthood. It's designed to eliminate drug and alcohol dependency. It has become an important step in informing certain individuals about the dangerous effects of addiction, the prevention techniques, and where to find help if necessary. So, what is drugs? Drugs are substances that has the ability to change the physical and mental state of a person. It has different effect on every person and is extremely unpredictable and dangerous. It changes the way your mind works and how you feel. The reason why people take drugs may be because of a mere curiosity, stress, depression, or influence. Because drugs has gives you this overwhelming feeling. It will hook you into craving for more and more, and it will lead into addiction. To prevent that from happening, we have these basic prevention principles. The first one is to provide ongoing education for the community members for the purpose of preventing drug and alcohol abuse through counseling, treatment, and referral. Drug prevention starts with education, spreading how dangerous drugs can be to oneself and to the community. For example, counseling. Counseling is a professional guidance from the individual by utilizing psychological methods using various techniques through interviews. Counseling gives us the opportunity to identify the factors which contributes to our difficulties and how do we effectively deal with it. Counselors provides us a support system by forming relationships built in trust and providing us a judgment-free environment which will then lead into the patient's addiction recovery. The second one is to promote or implement community-based activities that promote and reinforce healthy responsible living in which it enhances the skills individually. Community-based activity strategies is designed to increase the community readiness and engage communities in prevention techniques and actions to reduce the use of harmful legal products. For example, the prevention of alcohol use is effective through community mobilization. Community mobilization is essential in implementing a mutually mix of what prevention approaches and environmental strategies. The third one is to try and prevent drug abuse by creating healthy and attractive alternatives in substance abuse. One of the healthy and attractive alternatives to substance abuse is sports. The community must generate an activity or a program that will encourage the participation of everyone. For example, basketball. It will help them divert their attention, develop their skills individually, and help them socially interact with others, and also help them build healthy relationships. The last one is to articulate and consistently enforce clear policies that promote an educational environment free from drug and alcohol abuse. For all of this to be effective, we must generate the policies that enforces the cooperation of everyone. For example, the restriction access. The alcohol must only be accessed by people age ranging from 25 and above. And for the drugs, it should be only accessed by for professional purposes. With this, the drug and alcohol abuse should be lessened. And if there's a planning, there's an action. If there's an action, there's an implementation. And if there's an implementation, there's a prevention.
Countermeasures for substance abuse. As you can see, there are three methods for managing substance abuse: preventive education, counseling, and drug rehabilitation. Preventive education programs seek to discourage user and impending abuser from experimenting with illicit substances or continuing to abuse them. Counseling is a combination of treatment and support to help people break free from drugs. This is specific type of therapy is often a key part of rehabilitation programs so client can overcome substances dependence both mentally and emotionally. Drug rehabilitation. People addicted to drugs often need additional care and assistance. Drug rehab treatment facilities help patients make positive changes in their lives. Patients learn healthy coping skills, impulse control, emotional regulation skills, and drug refusal strategies that can help them avoid relapse.
The Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. This act, consisting of 101 sections, provides for importation of dangerous drugs and uncontrolled precursors and essential chemicals. It establishes offenses and penalty according to the different dangerous drugs, regardless of quantity and purity involved. Section 5. Sale, administration, dispensation, delivery, distribution, and transportation of dangerous drugs. Sale, trading, administration, dispensation, delivery, distribution, and transportation of dangerous drugs and or controlled precursors and essential chemicals. The penalty of life imprisonment to death and a fine ranging from 500,000 pesos to 10 million pesos shall be imposed upon any person who, unless authorized by law, shall sell, trade, administer, dispense, deliver, give away to another, distribute, dispatch, in transit, or transport any dangerous drugs, including any and all species of opium poppy, regardless of the quantity and purity involved, or shall act as a broker in any such of the transaction. The penalty of imprisonment ranging from 12 years and 1 day to 20 years, and a fine ranging from 100,000 pesos to 500,000 pesos shall be imposed upon any person who, unless authorized by law, shall sell, trade, administer, dispense, deliver, give away to another, distribute, dispatch, in transit, or transport any control, precursor, and essential chemical or shall act as a broken in a such transaction. If the sale, trading, administration, dispensation, delivery, distribution, or transportation of any dangerous drug and or control, precursor, and essential chemical transpire within 100 meters from the school, the maximum penalty shall be imposed in every case. Section 6. Maintenance of den, dive, or resort. The penalty of life imprisonment to death and fine ranging from 500,000 pesos to 10 million pesos shall be imposed upon any person of group persons who shall maintain a den, dive, or resort, where any dangerous drug is used or sold for. The penalty of imprisonment ranging from 12 years and 1 day to 20 years and a fine ranging from 100,000 pesos to 500,000 pesos shall be imposed upon any or group or person who shall maintain a den, dive, or resort, where any controlled precursor and essential chemical is used or sold in any form. Section 11. Possession of dangerous drugs. The penalty of life imprisonment to death and a fine ranging from 500,000 pesos to 10 million pesos shall be imposed upon any person who, unless authorized by law, shall possess and dangerous drugs in the following quantities regardless of the degree of purity thereof. Number 1. 10 grams or more of opium. Number 2. 10 grams or more of morphine. Number 3. 10 grams or more of heroin. Number 4. 10 grams or more of cocaine or cocaine hydrochloride. Number 5. 50 grams or more of methamphetamine hydrochloride or shabu. Number 6. 10 grams or more of marijuana resin or marijuana resin oil. Number 7. Number 7. 500 grams or more of marijuana. And number 8. 10 grams or more of other dangerous drugs such as but not limited to methylene dioxymethamphetamine, MDA or ecstasy, paramethoxyamphetamine PMA, trimethoxyamphetamine TMA, lysergic acid diethylamine, gamma hydroxylamphetamine GHB, and those similarly designed or newly introduced drugs and their derivatives without having any therapeutic value, or if the quantity possessed is far beyond therapeutic requirements as determined and promulgated by the board in accordance to Section 93, Article 11 of this Act. Otherwise, if the quantity involved is less than the foregoing quantities, the penalty shall be graduated as follows. Number 1. Life imprisonment and the fine ranging from 400,000 pesos to 500,000 pesos if the quantity of methamphetamine hydrochloride or shabu is 10 grams or more but less than 50 grams. Number 2. Imprisonment of 20 years and 1 day of life imprisonment and a fine ranging from 400,000 pesos to 500,000 pesos if the quantities of dangerous drugs are 5 grams or more but less than 10 grams of opium, morphine, heroin, cocaine or cocaine hydrochloride, marijuana resin or marijuana resin oil, methamphetamine hydrochloride or shabu, or other dangerous drug such as but not limited to MDMA or ecstasy, PMA, TMA, LSD, GHB, and those similarly designed or newly introduced drugs and their derivatives without having any therapeutic value, of if the quantity possessed is far beyond therapeutic requirements, or 300 grams or more but less than 500 grams of marijuana. And number 3. Imprisonment of 12 years and 1 day to 20 years and a fine ranging from 300,000 pesos to 400,000 pesos if the quantities of dangerous drugs are less than 5 grams of opium, morphine, heroin, cocaine or cocaine hydrochloride, marijuana resin or marijuana resin oil, methamphetamine hydrochloride or shabu or other dangerous drugs such as but not limited to MDMA or ecstasy, PMA, TMA, LSD, GHB, and those similarly designed or newly introduced drugs and their derivatives without having any therapeutic value of the quantity possessed is far beyond the therapeutic requirements or less than 300 grams of marijuana. Section 15. Use of dangerous drugs. A person apprehended or arrested who is found to be positive for use of any dangerous drugs after a confirmatory test shall be imposed a penalty of minimum of 6 months rehabilitation in a government center for the first offense. Subject to the provision of Article 8 of this Act is apprehended using any dangerous drugs for the second time. He or she shall suffer for the penalty of imprisonment ranging from 6 years and 1 day to 12 years and fine ranging from 50,000 pesos to 200,000 pesos, provided that this section not be applicable where the person tested is also found to have in his or her possession such quantity of any dangerous drugs provided for under Section 11 of this Act, in which case of provision stated therein shall apply.